everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video we are going to look at a very interesting topic. We are going to look at how to host a website on internet. So this episode was requested by one of my students. So he requested that we make a video on how to host a website on internet. So I decided to make this video so that if you are there and you want to host your website or on internet, these are the steps. So we are going to create a project together and then we host it on internet so that you can share with your friends. So in most cases you create a project or you have finished your website and then you would want to host it on internet. Maybe it is a personal project or it can be even a client project that you would want to host on internet. But all in all, if you find yourself you have a project that you want to host on internet, so in this video we are going to see how we can actually host one on Netlify. Okay, so in the first place there are very few steps here we're going to go through. So but before we go through this process, let's look at how the web works in terms of the website and what they're expected of you to have before you host a website. Okay, so here I have a diagram showing how the web works, and in most of the cases what happens is that a user, so this user can be a person that you have told you have a website. This person can be a client. This person can be any person who want to access your website. So normally what happens, this person goes to the browser and then he enters a URL. Okay, he enters a URL, and this URL is what you normally buy from internet when you want to host your website, and it is called a domain name most of the cases. So he enters this domain name or he enters this URL, and when he enters this URL they send it to a server. So a browser initiates a request and sends it to a DNS server, and then DNS server is domain name server. So the purpose of this DNS server is it has a list of all registered domains plus their IP addresses. So its purpose is to make sure if you type in a domain, it points you to the server where that website is located. Okay, so when a user enters a URL, it is sent to the DNS server to check if it is really exists. So if they find that it is existing, so they send this request to the appropriate server using the IP address of that domain. And when the server gets the request, it sends back a response, and this response is containing the files of your website, the index, the style.css, the JavaScript files, all the files that you created using your website. They are sent back to the browser, and then the browser gets all those files and renders them as a website. So basically, in brief, that's how the internet works, or that's how the web works. But the purpose of me showing you this was to dive to two concepts. So the first concept is that you must have a domain. Okay, you must have a domain name. So a domain name, it is this name that you are going to use to share with others. If they are looking for you on the internet, you can share it on social media or on other platforms. So the first thing you're going to see that we need a domain name, okay? And then another thing you need for your website to be on internet is a server, right? So you need at least these two things. So the first thing is you need a server to serve your files, to make sure that they are available when they request them. Okay, so there are two things we need. The first one is a domain name, and the second one is a server, right? So normally these two things are provided by what we call hosting companies. Okay, so there are very many different hosting companies on the internet. So you go to these hosting platforms, and then you buy these two things. The first one, you buy a domain, and the second one, you buy a server. And normally it is they charge you either per month or per year, whatever their pricing mechanism is, but at least you have to give them some money. But luckily in this video, I'm just going to show you how you can host for free. You're going to get a free domain, and you're going to get also a free server, meaning that you're going to host for free your website. Okay, so that is so there are two things I wanted you to first note before we jump in. So let's look at the steps we are going to take to host a website on the internet. So the first step is you must have built your website, and you have also tested that it is actually working locally on your computer. So before you start wanting to host your website, make sure you have the website and it is locally working on your machine, on your computer locally, before we do any other step. So let's first do that step. I'm just going to create here a simple website. So I have here a folder on my desktop called hosting on the internet, and actually it is an empty folder. As you can see, it has nothing in it, so that you see all the steps from scratch. So the first step, I'm opening it in VS Code. Okay, so the first step, I'm opening it in VS Code, and then I'm creating my first file, index.html. okay, and I can also create another one, which is style.css. okay, so I'm just going to create a very complicated website, since this one I want to remain it as small as possible, so that you understand the whole concept. So I'm just going to call this one hosting on Netlify. So by the way, we are going to see you're going to host on Netlify. So the first thing we are going to do, I'm just going to create here an H1, and I'm just going to say this is my home page. In fact, before that, let me just create here a navigation where we are going to put more than 2 links. So I'm just going to put a logo. Okay, so here I'm just going to say my logo. Okay, and then let me put another one, dot about. So I'm just going to say about. So this one, let's make it a link, and let me just say it's going to be /about.html. So I'm trying to create here some simple website with a simple navigation. Okay, so I'm just say about me, and the last page is maybe services, I don't know. Okay, let's just do that, and stroke services.html. okay, So here, so normally you always have on your website, you always have a sort of a navigation. And so I've created a simple navigation like so. And then I'm just going to say this is my home page. Okay. So this is my home page. So why I'm showing you this, we are going to see it's very important when you are hosting your website, you name or you have one of your files called index.html, and most especially this one should be your home page. So your home page, make sure before you host it is called index.html. Okay, so I have my navigation and I have here h1. So let me just create these two pages simply. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me first link CSS. Okay, as simple as that. So I'm copying this. I'm just creating two more pages, and that is these two pages we have linked here. We have linked here about.html and services.html. So let me just do those ones. So the first one is about.html, and let me just paste this, and I'm just going to come here and I say that this is my about page. Okay, and then the third one, let me create services.html. okay, and I'm just going to also paste this, and I put here this is my services page. Okay, so I have 3 pages, and if you see in my navigation I've linked on all pages, and this is by the how you link to pages. You make sure all your pages you want to link, they are here. We have the home page, which is index, we have about, and then we have services.html, and then this is how I've linked them. Okay, so if I run this, if I go back to index and I go live, and we said one of the steps is you must test your website before you host it or think of hosting it. You must make sure it is working properly and you have tested it. Okay, so far it is looking good. Let me put some little CSS. So I'm just going to go here and say star. Okay, and the first thing I'm just going to say is margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. Okay, and then for anchor tags, let me say font size, let me put 20 pixels, and text decoration, let's put none to remove the underline, and then since there are few, let's give the color to black. Okay, okay, so far not bad. Okay, so navigation, you can just give them a color of white, and we make our navigation black. So for the navigation, the nav, I'm just going to say background color, let me make it black. Okay, and then let's give it also some padding. So top and bottom, let's say 2 rem, and then the sides, let's say 3 rem. Okay, and then let's say display flex, and align items, let's say center, and justify content, we can just leave it, let's just give a gap of maybe 2 rem. Okay, yeah, so far they are looking nice. Let me work on my logo. So for the logo, let me just give it simple styles. So I'm just going to use font size, let me just make it 2 rem. Okay, yeah, and I can also say font weight to give maybe 7. And here on the font family, let's use font family. Let me use this. okay, to look somehow nice. Yeah, that is great. And I can even add a hover. So let's say hover on my anchor tags. Let's change color to blue, okay? And yeah, and you can also add text decoration at this point. So let's say text decoration underline, okay? Okay, so that is great. That is our simple website. And by the way, if I click on about us or about me, you see that it has changed. This is about page, services. This is about this is my services page. So all the pages are working. To the body, let me give the body some padding. So body, let me give my body some padding. Okay, top and bottom I can leave it 0, but on the sides let's make it 3. Okay, actually let me just leave it not like that. Let's give it on H1. Okay, let's just do it on H1. Okay, this is good. On top, let me just make it 2. Okay, 2 rem. I'm trying to give some spacing to this. Okay, so this is your website. Okay, as simple as that. So you have this website and you have tested it. It is working properly. All the pages are working. The home page is looking the way you want. The about me is looking the way you want, and the services page, they are all working the way you want. So step 1, we are done. So step number 1 is you must make sure you have a working website locally on your machine. You have tested it and it is properly working, right? So that is great. Step number 2 is to host your code on GitHub. Okay, so step number 2 is putting your code on GitHub. So if it is your first time to hear GitHub, okay, let me first close this website from here. Okay, and I'm also going to close it from here. So let me first take this folder in a place I want it to be. So I'm cutting it from here. Okay, so make sure your folder is in a place you want it to be before you push your code to GitHub. So I'm just going to go to this one and let me put here, and I'm just going to put in this folder called YouTube. Okay, I'm just going to create a folder here called programming. Okay, as simple as that. And then inside there I'm just going to paste my folder. So this folder is containing my website. If I open it and I go to index, you see it still opens up. And wait a minute. Okay, so you must make sure all your website is, you couldn't be accessed. That is interesting. Okay, so a minute we'll fix that. Okay, so let me open my website here in VS Code. A minute, guys. So we have our index.html is the entry point. Okay, so we have this. Let's put a dot here, and even here you can specify index.html. Okay, so let's save this and let's go back this side and let's see if we still have the same problem. Yeah, so the problem is sort of fixed. Okay, oh, I understand. Okay, so this is not a big of a problem right now. Just make sure all your pages are actually linked like this. Okay, so let me just link them, update on all pages. Okay. Okay, so this is good. So I have my website and it is working properly, and I've put it in a folder where I need it. Okay, so that is great. So the step 1 has been done. So let's look at how do you host your code on GitHub. So if it is your first time to go to GitHub, okay, so let me show you some steps you can go through to set up GitHub. And what is GitHub in the first place? I can briefly talk about GitHub. So GitHub is a place where we normally host our code, where you can share with others, or you can track the changes you are making to that code briefly. If you want me to talk more about GitHub in details, you can comment below. Comment below. If you want me to make a video in details about GitHub, I can do that. But briefly, what GitHub does, it helps us get the version of the code you have on your computer and then stores it on the internet, and then you can track the version, or you can track the changes that you are making to that code. Okay, so you see, Git is a version control system that helps you manage your code and keep track of it. And then Git comes with other two tools, which is GitHub, and then another one is Git Desktop. So GitHub is a cloud-based hosting platform that enables developers to manage their Git repositories. So we are going to look at things called repositories, but in short, these are folders that actually represent your code on your laptop or on your computer. So when you create a folder on your computer, what Git does, it creates the same folder on GitHub, so that you can keep the two folders in sync, the one that is remotely hosted and the one that is on your computer. And then Git Desktop is an application that lets users interact better with GitHub. So you can interact between GitHub using a graphical user interface, which is this GitHub Desktop, right? So that is a brief I can give about the tools you are going to use. So the first thing is you can sign up for a GitHub account if it is your first time and you don't have an account. So go to github.com right now. So you can head to github.com and then click up on sign up. Okay, I'm not going to sign up, I already have an account, but I can show you. If I'm just going to open here an incognito window, and I'm just going to github.com. Okay, so go to github.com here and then look for the sign up button. Okay, just simply click on sign up. They are going to take you through a process. A process is somehow intuitive, so follow the process, answer all the questions, and make sure the email you are entering there is correct and is the right email. Don't use a funny email like created looking like it's a spam email. Use a genuine email when you're creating this account, is what I can tell you. Create using a genuine account email that you normally use. Enter the email, and then they will send you the code and other procedures until you reach on the GitHub homepage. So you are going to, when you fill all the procedures and you pass through the process, they will welcome you to GitHub, and you will have an interface looking like this. So I'm just going to go to my GitHub account and I show you. So you'll be welcome on some interface. It might not look exactly like this one. Mine right now, it's just because I have very many repositories on my account, but you will be welcome on a process or on a page like this one, where they say create a repository or welcome. This is the home page. So don't worry, when you create a GitHub account, the two things that you need is just only your password Okay, so at this point you can even sign out if you want. You can simply sign out, and that is the most important. Create an account and have your password and the username. Okay, so that is step 1. So when you finish creating your account, so make sure you keep your password, and I normally use Google Keep to keep my passwords. So make sure you have your password correct and your username. So now step number 2, download and install Git Desktop. So there is this application. It is an application, it is a desktop application. So you can go to desktop.github.com and then you download this application. So I can just go here, and it is desktop. Okay, it is desktop.github.com. Okay, so go on this website and download this application called Git Desktop. Okay, the installation is very easy. Simply download like that, and then after you have installed, the interface looks like this. So this one is going to help us to upload our code on GitHub. Okay, so this one is on your computer, and it can interact with your folders on the computer, and at the same time it can interact with your GitHub online. Okay, so simply install this application. Okay, after you have installed it, the next step is connect your GitHub account to that application. So when you install that application, is going to bring you a screen saying sign in with your GitHub or sign in to your GitHub. Click on the sign in button. It is going to open a pop-up saying you authorize GitHub Desktop. So click on the authorize button. So there is a pop-up that comes on that pop-up, and they are asking you to authorize the GitHub Desktop. So simply click on authorize GitHub Desktop, and then it will take some few seconds and you will be redirected back to GitHub Desktop. Okay, so and this is how the GitHub Desktop looks like. So when you are successfully connected your GitHub account, normally they will ask you to put a password and the username. So after you have done this, you are going to come to an interface like this one. Not exactly like this one. If it is your first time, they will bring you here to create a new repositories, clone a repository, and other things. But don't click on any of those ones. Okay. So if you are on that step, then it is a very good step. Okay, so now if you are on that step now, let me go back here. So as we said, step 2 is to host your code on GitHub. So what I assume right now at this point, you have a folder for your website, and then you also have a GitHub account, and then you also have GitHub Desktop. So if you have those 3 things, let's go ahead. So to your GitHub Desktop that you have just connected here, go to the top right corner where there is this button called File, right? So when you click on this File button, there are 4 things that comes, or this option that comes. The first one is new repository. Second one is add local repository. Another one is clone repository, others, options, and exit. So what you want right now is to add a repository, right? So click on add local repository. So they brings up this pop-up here which says add local repository. Okay, so normally what this means is that you have a repository that is already existing on your GitHub. Okay, but then for us, this is our first time. This folder we have, it has never been on GitHub. So let's see when we put that folder, what happens. So what it is asking us here is a local path. So it is telling us to put the path to where the folder is kept. So simply click on choose. You see on the right here, there is the button said choose. So click on the choose button here, and then they bring you a navigation to your computer. So click and find where you kept your folder for your website. So mine was in my courses, YouTube, and programming, and this is the folder. Just click on it and click select folder, as simple as that. And then you will immediately see they will bring you a notification that this directory does not appear to be a Git repository. Would you like to create a repository here instead? So this is a notification they normally bring if this repository you are trying to put is not on your GitHub account. So simply click on create a repository here, and then on this create a new repository window, just click create a repository, as simple as that. Okay, so this is good. Now the last thing you're going to do is to publish the repository. So right now they're saying the repository is currently available on your local machine. By publishing it on GitHub, you can share it and collaborate with others. So simply click on this publish repository, and at this point they give you this pop-up. So there is one important thing on this pop-up. There is what they say, keep this code private. So if you want to make this private, or you don't want other people to see your code, simply leave it checked to keep the code private. But if it is a project you would want to share code with others, you can simply keep it public. So I can just go and uncheck this to keep it public, and I click on publish repository. So right now what it's going to do is going to push this code, is going to push it to github.com, and yeah, so you can see it has sent all the code to github.com. So we can check if this folder has gone online by going to github.com. So go to github.com, sign into your account, and to the right corner where you see the avatar, there is this avatar here in the corner. Click on it, and this drop down comes, and click on your repositories. So click on your repositories, okay, and then they will show you all repositories that you have, and the latest one that you have uploaded, it will come on top here. So if it is your first time, you will only have one, and it will be on top here. You can see they show the time it was created 1 minute ago. They will show you the status, it is public, and the language you use to create, which is HTML. So you see this is the folder we have. If you click on it, it will even show you the files that are inside. Okay, so you can see the style, the services, and all this one. It has even added one more file, which is Git attributes. Never touch this, and don't even do anything to this one. So that is the step number 2 we are looking for in our process of hosting on our project. So this is step number 2, hosting your code on GitHub. So if you have successfully pushed your code to GitHub, congratulations, we are on step 2 out of 3 steps. Okay, so now step number 3 is actually looking for a server. So what we have is we have our code. We are supposed to look for 2 things now: the domain name, and then the server to serve our files. So to get all these 2 things at once, we are going to go to a hosting platform called Netlify. So Netlify is a hosting platform that gives you or serves your website. It can host your website, and then it also gives you a domain if you don't have one you have bought for yourself. Okay, so, and it does all this for free. Okay, so step number 3 is to sign up for an account on a hosting platform, and in this case we are going to see Netlify. Okay, so step number 3 is go and create an account on Netlify, which is very easy. Go to netlify.com. okay, as simple as that, and also click on this sign up button. Okay, so click on sign up, and what they're going to do is you can sign up with your GitHub account, the one we created earlier. So click on sign up with GitHub. Okay, so they will now ask you to add your email address or username and the password for your GitHub. So put these credentials and then click on sign in. Okay, so when you click on those credentials, username and password, and then you click on sign in, okay, they will bring it authorize Netlify. So click on authorize Netlify. They will direct you back to Netlify, okay, and then answer some questions like is this a personal project? So whatever you feel that actually is not most important, answer those questions they will ask you on the Netlify page until you reach a process where they say deploy your first project. So when you on this process, you are going to reach on a screen where they say add your first project, and then they say import from GitHub. Okay, so now let me just go to my Netlify account. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my Netlify, and if you don't have a Netlify account, it is also great. So I'm just going to click on login. Okay, so I'm just going to log in to my Netlify account. Okay, so at this point, try to create an account with Netlify, and when you reach on that page where they say deploy your first project, okay, click on import from GitHub. Okay, so click on import from GitHub, and then there you can also install. So they are going to ask you, if it is the first time, they ask you a number of questions, but try to install, and yeah, you will figure it out. It is not too hard. Okay, so if you already have an account, you can sign in and then click on this button which says add new site and say import from existing project. Okay, so they also bring you to this screen, and this is also a screen they are going to bring you if it is your first time, which says import an existing from a Git repository. So click on GitHub. Okay, and they will show you to authorize GitHub if it is your first time, but mine is already authorized, and that's why they take me to all mine. Okay, so now look for the repository or that folder that we have just uploaded. I'm just going to search here, and it was hosting, something to do with hosting. So let me search for that. Okay, so hosting on internet. So this is the repository so choose your repository that you put on GitHub here. So I'm just going to click on this, hosting on internet. This is the repository that we have here on my GitHub that is containing our website. Okay, click on it. Okay, so the settings you have here, don't worry about these ones. Simply click on deploy site. Okay, so simply click on deploy site, and you can see they bring here deploying your site, and they bring here also site deploy in progress. So when a website finishes deploying, okay, so when a website finishes deploying on the internet like so, they bring you here this URL. They bring you this URL that you can click, by the way, and the website is already hosted on this, and they created a URL for you. So the second option is to add a custom domain. If you have bought a domain, you can add it here, but since we have not bought one, I'm just going to go to domain settings. So click on domain settings and come here down under custom domains and click on options, edit site name. Okay, So I'm just going to say hosting. So put here the name. By the way, keeping always short. So I'm just going to put hosting on Netlify. As simple as that. So here add the name that you want to your domain to look like. You can add your name like JB. You can add anything you want here, any site name you want to put. So click on save, and then they're saying this site name is already taken. So when you put something that is already taken, they will not accept you to use it. Okay, so I'm just going to add JB here as a keyword. Okay, and this one they will now accept. Okay, like so. So your website now is located on JB hosting on netlify.app. Okay, so fair enough. If you click on it, you can see our website. And congratulations if you have reached at this moment. If you have successfully hosted your application on Netlify, we have gone through most of the steps, naming, renaming, and hosting, and all those things. So you can see, we can see all our pages, services page, about page, and the home page. Okay, so we have all our pages and everything is working perfectly. Okay, so now the next step is, if you want to make changes, for instance, you want to add some content on this home page, or you want to add the content on a about me page, or you want to even add a new page, right? You can now make your changes very easily with GitHub. So let's try to see if I want to make some changes on my website. First step, go to your folder that you have hosted on internet. So go to your folder where you kept this project, open it with VS Code. So make changes as usual. So I'm just going to make some changes. Okay, I'm just going to make some changes here. Just going to make some changes. So on index, I'm just going to add some text. I'm just going to add a p tag down here, and I say this is me updating the website. So you can add, maybe if it is a client, he has added you more information, you can come and update these pages, right? So they say this is me updating the website. So I've added this new content. Okay, if you check on our website, this content is not there, right? So I'm adding this content here. You can go ahead and add very many things, but I'm just going to add only this p tag. Okay, so if I go live right now, make sure you still test and it is working perfectly. So this is what I've added. You can also add these things maybe to a folder. Let me just add them to a content, or even let me just add them to main. Okay, so inside here, and then I can target main. So where is main? So in my CSS where I had h1, let me make this one as main. Okay, so go back and make sure everything is okay. So this is good. Okay, so I've updated locally. You can see this is locally and everything is working the way it's supposed to be. So when you have made your updates in your file, okay, go to Git desktop. You will see that it will show you the changes that you have made. Okay, so it shows you the changes you have in HTML. You have added this, and even CSS you have changed this. Okay, so you come and add a summary here of what you have done. So for instance, I've updated the content on index. So I'll just say updated index page, as simple as that. So here add a small description of what you have done. If you have fixed a bug or you have added more content, just say updated content and commit to main. So committing means you are accepting the changes, and then pushing to origin. So here you push origin. Here means you are pushing this code to your GitHub. Okay, so here I'm pushing this code and it is sending it to find the one that was on GitHub previously, and now it is updating to this new version. Okay, and now in a few seconds you go back to your website. Now this is the one which is locally hosted, and this is the one that is on Netlify hosted, right? So in a few seconds, refresh your page. Okay, I'm refreshing and you see my new content is on the website. This is the one that is hosted, and you can see the content on the homepage has been updated, and this is the way you update your website if you have already hosted it. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe. You can share with others, and you can find more if you want to test yourself. We have this website called thishub.com at coding school. This is Hub Coding School. You can come to this page, and then you can improve your skills by trying out some challenges that we always offer. And on the same YouTube channel, we normally have these challenges. So if you have any challenge that you have seen on this website and you want me to do it, simply comment in the description and I will happily do that challenge, and you can learn more from it. Thank you so much. See you again.